Hi guys, today is going to be a story time video. It's about the time my mom moved down where I am to be with me and my daughter. Now, where I am, I moved here in like 2012. And in 2013, I want to say it was around May, she wanted to move down here. So I'm in the south, she's in the north. I had, at the time, I had a Dodge Ram truck, and so she was just like, hey, come up here, use your truck, and move me down there. And I'm like, all your stuff is not gonna fit in my truck. So she got my dad to pay for one of those trailers that you can hook onto the truck, but I didn't have a tow thing on the back, so I had to pay for, I don't know, some, like, I think it was 25, 30 bucks. Didn't cost that much, but still I had to foot the bill for it. And I had to use my gas to get up there, and not only that, my daughter was with me. So, God, I want to say it was at least 15 hours to get up there with a toddler. And it wasn't fun. I dropped my daughter off at my ex's parents' house so that they can spend time with her while I was up there. While I was up there, my narcissistic mother volunteered me my gas and my truck for her friends. So I played moving man for people who needed furniture and other stuff moved. Now, mind you, I had a broken ankle, and I had just broken it, like, I think a year before. It's still broken, like, there's like a piece of bone missing, and the doctor tried to, I think it was a couple years ago, I had surgery, and when she was trying to, she saw the piece of bone, but every time she went to go get it, it just like moved further and further down my foot, and I guess something about my foot being too cloudy, I don't really know, but I need another surgery. Well, in any case, it hurts a lot to walk. After walking like 15 minutes, my ankle starts to swell up. I helped my neighbor once with her yard for like 2 hours, and it had me bedridden for a few days because I couldn't move because the pain was so bad. So, my mother knows about my ankle issue, and she still volunteered me to move some woman's queen-sized bed by myself. She had some kind of little thing on wheels. I think it's a furniture mover. It was a small square. But still, I had to hold like the whole weight of it and everything. So, I had plans with friends while I was up there because I was staying for about a week. And I had to cancel a lot of my plans because she made plans for me. And if I didn't do those plans, then I was selfish. If I said no, I was selfish. If I said I just couldn't do it, I was selfish. And I apparently never do anything for her. Well, I had told her before I went up there, I said, look, I don't know the laws about how much you can pack onto your truck. And I said, but with me driving, especially with my daughter in the car, anything that goes into the bed of my truck cannot block the back window. And anything that goes inside the truck cannot block the back window. I want that completely clear, and it's for my safety, and I have that right to be like, look, hey, I'm not comfortable having it blocked. And maybe in some states, if you block the window and have stuff stacked really high, you can get tickets. I didn't want to chance it, and I didn't think to look it up. So she's getting rid of a lot of her stuff while she's in her apartment. And she is like going crazy, getting angry at me because stuff won't fit. She had gotten my dad to rent one of those like trailers that you can hook onto the back of your car. And she decided to rent the smallest one. Almost nothing fit in there. It was so small. So after packing up the truck and the trailer, she had a lot of stuff still left over. So we went around trying to find another trailer that was bigger, and there wasn't any. So we had to deal with what we had. I think there was one like an hour and a half away or something, but I didn't want to drive an hour and a half away just to pick it up. I had already drove 15 hours. I have to drive another 15 hours. I'm driving all over the town for her. That hour and a half, it's exhausting, and it's very selfish of her to force me to do that. I don't understand why she couldn't maybe ask somebody else that she knew to go pick it up for her. In any case, she decided to pack up the truck more so that it would cover the back window. I told her no, and we went through the truck and picked everything out that she could, I guess, live without having, but my God, it was drama. We were outside, it was starting to get dark, people were coming outside because of her, people were looking out of their apartment windows because she was so loud and throwing such a huge fit, and people were yelling down to her, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need help?" And she started screaming, "Oh, I might as well just throw everything away." And I'm like, I mean, you do what you gotta do, but, you know, I told you the rule that nothing can be covering the window, and clearly you didn't do that, so it's not my fault. Eventually, it gets worked out, and I'm exhausted, and the next morning we're gonna be leaving to come down here. So, I go to sleep. I'm exhausted. Sometime in the night or in the very early morning, she went out and did something. I don't even know if she had any help. But when we're getting ready to leave, like, I didn't even go see the truck or anything. I just pack up my stuff, what little I had left. And we also still had to go pick up my daughter. And we had a schedule to keep. I go outside and thinking, hey, we're just going to get in the truck and roll off. Nope. She packed it up that not only was it covering the window, it was going above the roof of the cab of the truck. Yeah. And she had things tied so weird that there was some of this stuff was gonna blow off. So this guy comes out because I'm discussing it with her. I'm like, hey, you know, you can't just pack it up this high behind my back and think that I'm just gonna say, okay, let's roll with it. I said, no, you need to fix it. I said, I'm not helping because I didn't do this. This is the second time. I put my foot down. This guy is looking at me like I'm the worst person in the world. And I tried to explain to him that, you know, I said, look, I already told her, you know, it's not my fault. So she ended up throwing out her bed. And throwing out like a whole bunch of other stuff. She was angry and she was screaming. She was throwing stuff around. So then, finally everything is settled. She's not happy. We go pick up my daughter. And thankfully, her grandfather, which is my ex's father, he had a bunch of like bungee cords, and he helped secure most of it because he said the way that she did it, stuff was going to be flying. So we come all the way down here. She decides that she wants to stay in a town that's an hour away from here. So multiple times we're going up there to meet with realtors or whatever, and look at places. So finally she finds one. So all her stuff is now in my garage. She actually stayed with me probably like a month or so, or even more. Yeah, it was more than a month. It was a few months, because then my grandmother had died, and we had to go back up there for her funeral and come back down, and she found a place. So, an hour away, using just my truck, I made, I want to say, like 5 trips, because I had also bought her a bed. She conned me into buying her a bed, which I think was something between $500 and $800, maybe $600. I don't remember the exact amount of it. But so there was a lot of trips going an hour each way. So if I make 3 trips, that's 6 hours of my day, plus loading and unloading and doing probably a good 75% of it, and being barked orders about what to do and where to put it. And so I bring everything to her for her apartment. She's not even in that apartment 3 days. It's like, well, it's about 3 days. She calls me up crying and screaming and saying she can't take it here anymore, and she has anxiety and blah 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 blah, and she wants to move back home to our home state. 3 days she is in this apartment. And she goes to the landlord or whatever and tells her, and I guess she ends up getting her money back. So my fiance and I, but this is when he was just my boyfriend, we go all the way up there, and she wants all her stuff being put in a storage unit there. And I told her, no, put it all in a storage unit where I am, because if you're going back up, to home, I'm not going to make multiple trips from the storage unit back by myself without you, But whatever, she decided she wanted it. She had already gotten it, I guess. So we put everything into the storage unit there. Now, I'm doing this on my own dime, on my own time, and so is my fiance. Everything is like volunteer work, and we're busting our butts lifting furniture. This neighbor of hers came over and helped lift a dresser up into my truck while we were inside getting other stuff. She offers him money for helping put on one dresser. And I go up to her and I'm like, how are you gonna offer him money and not me? All he did was lift one dresser in there. I'm sitting here using my gas, using my time. And, my boyfriend's got his time. He's doing it for free. So anyway, we put everything in that storage unit. And she comes back down and stays with me until she wants to go back home. Then she decides she wanted all her stuff back with me. So, guess that's a whole bunch more trips. So I had to take everything from the storage unit from an hour away and go put it in my garage. Yep. Many more trips. So, and it's also on my dime and my time. And I don't remember if he helped or not with that. I think me and her did most of the work, or all the work. But it took a lot of trips. So everything got put in my garage because she didn't want to pay for a storage unit. Well, that came a time when my landlord decided he hadn't been paying the mortgage, even though I was paying rent. And the mortgage company, I guess, wanted me out. So I had to move. So I found another house to move in, and that had, you know, a 2-door garage like the previous house because I needed a big garage to hold all this stuff. But I guess she wanted her stuff in a storage unit. Finally. So not only am I moving stuff, packing and moving my stuff from one house to another, but I'm also having to move her stuff to a storage unit. And she's got the garage organized so that her stuff is on one side and my stuff is on the other side. And she's helping me pack my stuff. She didn't pack much. She packed the DVDs and she put them all with her stuff. Like when I moved into my house, I noticed I was missing most of my DVDs, and there was 2 large boxes in her storage unit full of my DVDs. So everything gets moved where it needs to be. She goes back home, and I'm in my house, and then she keeps, like, I haven't even been in my house maybe a week or 2, and she is harassing me to send her stuff to her. And I'm like, you understand, I've got a kid to take care of. I have a dad with dementia that I need to take care of. I have, you know, a house that I still have to unpack. I'm doing everything on my own. And she's just all like, me, screw what you're doing. So I spent, I think, about $800 on something like a pod box. I think it was from U-Haul. I think they call it a U-Box. It's where you get a box, like this big box, you fill all your stuff with it, and then they ship it to wherever. So I had to go pick it up with my truck, the box, because it cost a couple $100 extra for them to deliver it. So I went and picked it up, brought it to my house, filled it up with her stuff, and it took all day because my dad and I were working really hard trying. It's a small box and she has a lot of stuff. And we were like playing Tetris trying to fit everything, but some stuff, well, actually one cabinet would not fit because it was too large. And so that stayed behind. And I told her about it. And also I had to go through her stuff and take out anything with like chemicals in it, because they have a list of stuff that you can't have in there. Like you can't have liquid chemicals and stuff because it could be flammable and it could blow up something, catch fire. So she was unhappy that a lot of her cleaning products had to be either thrown out or I just kept them. And so her box goes up to her. Oh yeah, and I have to take, after it's packed up, I take the box back to the U-Haul place and they ship it to her. They didn't give me any type of tracking, and she's contacting me every single day wondering about tracking, and I said, I don't know. I said, you have to call them. So I guess it showed up a couple days late, and she was mad at me about it like it was my fault. She got my uncle to go pick it up for her, and she was upset that, you know, all her cleaning stuff was gone and the cabinet wasn't in there. It was actually my brother's cabinet. So she's blaming me for all this, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Not once did she say, thank you, Jen, for spending all that money and all that time and all that energy. You know, you got a bad ankle. You know, you actually have a life with a kid to take care of and a father to take care of and all kinds of other stuff to take care of. Not once did she thank me for my time or the money that I spent on her, the energy, the pain that I went through. Like you heard in the previous letter, everything was always about her. Like, you know, oh, I did all this for you. Well, what about all the stuff I did for her? She acts like it never happened. So she got all her stuff, and she's been very convinced that I stole a bunch of her stuff and all that. But since then, she had been here one time and went through every single thing I own, stole $300 from my daughter out of her piggy bank. She knows that I don't have anything of hers, but she thinks I have DVDs and books and video games and Lord knows pictures, whatever else she thinks I have. But it's very, very exhausting to drive 15 hours and then 15 hours back and then driving an hour to where she is back and forth multiple times and then having to do it again and then driving back and forth to storage units, driving her, you know, to the U-Haul place. The money I could deal with paying, but it's just, God, it was so exhausting. I just from all that, I swore that I never wanted to drive ever again. So now I actually drive as little as possible, and I try to get my fiance to drive places just because I can't stand driving anymore. Because of her. Well, that was my story about my mom, my narcissistic mother, making it all about her, and me moving her down here. So I hope you like this story. Have a good one.